we're going to be tight on time because both Chris and Ed have a very, very packed agenda. So I'm going to invite Chris now to give us his speech and opening address. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alex, and can I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and acknowledge elders past, present, and emerging, and commit myself as returning treasure of Australia to eradicating the scourge of Indigenous disadvantage in our country. My friend Ed Husic, the Shadow Minister for the Digital Economy and the Future of Work, and a fellow Westie, and one of Parliament's leading thinkers about innovation and its importance in Australia's future. Mark Morey, the Secretary of Unions New South Wales, for being here, and thanks for your work in promoting a fairer Australia. And Greg Metcalf, the Chairman of ASIC, who's joined us today. It's good to see you, Greg, as well as the CEO, Australian CEO of Google, Jason Pellegrino. Thanks, Alex, for the welcome, and thanks for sharing your space with us here today, and thanks for the work that Stone Chalk does, which has become a very important part of the ecosystem. Well, it wasn't that long ago that the list of politicians lining up to talk to you about the importance of innovation for Australia's future was very long. About this time last year, every politician and their cavoodle was singing the praises of an agile, innovative economy. It was an exciting time to be alive. We were nimble, we were agile, and then we weren't. The talk fizzed. It was like we lived through 5 minutes of innovation sunshine. The sun was out. We had a new innovation minister who excitedly told us that the Prime Minister asked him to unleash his inner reformer and push the realms of innovation to new heights. 12 months later, he's not the innovation minister anymore. He's been succeeded by 2 others, and we've had 4 innovation ministers since 2015. We were whipped into policy hacks. We had 1 innovation statement in December 2015, and that was it. And we, of course, had the $30 million advertising campaign on the ideas boom. As I said, 5 minutes of innovation sunshine. As the light fades, it allows Tony Abbott to gloat, and I quote, "It's good that we're no longer talking about innovation and agility." I think we disagree. The fact of the matter is that for innovation, the innovation for the Turnbull government was not an economic imperative. It was a political talking point. It was product differentiation to differentiate this Prime Minister from the last one. And that's the problem. To be honest with you, they didn't have a strategy, a policy strategy for making innovation a key part of our economic growth going forward. Innovation making Australia a smarter, better nation. This should not be a political plaything. The sad reality is that there's a cost to the government's lack of ability to explain the benefits of innovation and their lack of policy focus on the issue since the election. It has another downside. It's impacted on your views of politics, I'm sure. There's a change platform, more show than substance, fleeting interest ahead of a genuine commitment to collaborate and to drive change. And this is just wrong. We need a stronger focus on your work. We need a stronger focus on building a smarter country. As Ed has said, and I quote, "If we're not talking about being a smarter nation, we're not doing the things needed to make us a smarter nation." And of course, this lack of policy focus registered in Deer last week when it became abundantly apparent that not enough thought had been given to the changes of 457 visas and their impact on universities, tech and the entrepreneurial sector. In our part of the world, the contrast couldn't be starker. As we clamp down on access to tech skills, the Kiwis call for more innovators to come to New Zealand, and the website processing the application crashes due to the level of interest. Now, we've had a more balanced approach. Bill Shorten announced on Wednesday we'd introduce a new smart visa targeting science, medical and academic research and technology skills that are in short supply here. We've heard your concerns and we've responded and will continue to consult. This would allow internationally recognised specialists to collaborate with Australian universities, researchers, scientists and startups to help get the balance right. We want to make sure this sector can move ahead while ensuring that Australians don't get left behind. That's an evidence that, importantly, a genuine commitment to a smarter nation. But I'm not here today just to give the Turnbull government a free character assessment. Far from it, I've got it off my chest and that's it. We've said we'd work with the government, and we have, wherever possible, even when those offers have been ignored. Even when we've had some concerns about some of the changes, we let their laws on the venture capital and angel tax changes through. Ed has reached out, I've reached out to our counterparts. We've put partisanship on the back seat. But when we don't see the action we think is necessary, we won't stay silent. This is a snapshot of where we are and how we've gotten here. But we need to talk about what's next. The question that underpins my words today is just that. What's next? Because today I want to make to you, and through you to the broader community, the case for innovation. Not just to sketch out our thinking or a policy framework, but to champion the values that drive our commitment to innovation. Labor values as the alternative government. Because where we stand now, we don't have time to lose. It's crucial that the innovation agenda is made relevant to people, worried about their and their country's future. Specifically, I want to make a case that a proper approach to innovation is about entrepreneurialism, but not just about entrepreneurialism. It's about existing firms as well as new ones. It's about manufacturing as well as services. It's about rural and regional Australia just as much as it's about cities. This has been a key focus of ours, not just for the past few months, but the past several years. In my first Shadow Treasurer's address, in reply to the 2014 budget at the National Press Club, I used half the speech to outline the importance of innovation in reviving the economy. Reprised that theme in the 2015 budget reply at the National Press Club, and Bill Shorten made it his theme as part of his nationally televised budget reply in 2015. But we did more than just talk. We've led the policy debate. A $500 million smart investment fund, an innovation investment partnership to identify and bust barriers to holding back superannuation fund investment in Australian-based venture capital funds and early-stage enterprises, improving access to finance for startups and improving the flow of capital to startups, a significant focus on STEM, both thousands of students and teacher scholarships, and outlining ways to increase the entrepreneurial spirit in the next generation, to build the flow of talent into the local ecosystem. And having made this our focus in opposition, it will remain our focus in government. Now you might ask why? Why Labor? Why is Labor, the party born to advance the quality of life for working Australians, interested in encouraging innovation and the emergence of a stronger entrepreneurial spirit? Well, because innovation, properly calibrated, can lift living standards, which is what we're all about. Now, while it's undeniable that innovation and entrepreneurial activity has the power to boost living standards, there are legitimate concerns in the community about what innovation actually means for them. The world is changing quickly, with forecasts of the increasingly rapid uptake of automated processes and the potential threat to jobs. This change is what draws us, within Labor, back to the priority of driving innovation, creating a smarter nation, and importantly, being prepared for that change which is coming. And its impact, of course, will be very significant. When we think of the future of work, we're often guided by the findings from the Oxford University that found 47% of jobs currently performed could be automated. Now, the OECD took a different view, saying the impact of automation could be between 9 and 15%. That's still a big number. About 137 million workers, or 56% of the salaried workforce, are at risk of automation in just 5 Southeast Asian economies, according to the ILO. And here in Australia, there has been some examination of what this change could look like. For instance, Fathom drew on proprietary and publicly available data, modelling the positive and negative impact of technologies on work over time that include process AI, social AI, fixed robotics, mobile robotics, and advanced materials. And unlike other studies that took more of a global, high-level view of automation, Fathom did this right down to the enterprise and business unit level. In many cases, they believe that technology will augment, not automate work, such as in medical, interpersonal, and creative industries. They also believe augmentation will require additional workers in a similarly wide range of current and new occupations to enable and support those who are augmented. Now, given the shortage in Australia of many of these occupations, further opportunities for additional new work existing in education, training, supplying and supporting those in growth occupations and industries is good news. They acknowledge automation will take jobs, in some cases dramatically. In figures they haven't released publicly until today, they predicted automation job impacts across various industry sectors. Financial services, between 30 and 40% of the jobs automated, with a big concern being second-tier players could be impacted to a greater degree. Manufacturing could witness automation affecting 50% of jobs currently performed.
and fast food, the generator of entry-level jobs for so many, and both young and mature, could see 60% of the jobs automated. This poses a challenge not just to us, not just to government. Australia's managerial classes haven't been tested by a challenge of this scale in quite some time, with jobs poised to transform overnight, while potentially shearing away rafts of middle manager positions as well. Now, the know-how and expertise of Michael Prentice, who's with us here today, one of Fathom's principles, was relied upon in the development of the CSIRO report, Tomorrow's Digitally Enabled Workforce, released by the government in February last year. It talked about the impact of automation in Australia and what was needed to prepare. Unfortunately, the report has not been acted upon. The work of Fathom is compelling. But it's also why many members of the public, very legitimately, equate innovation with job losses. It's something us politicians have to be alive to, something we all need to be alive to. It does not mean walking away from talking about the economic levers of the future. I've made it clear in previous speeches that in the face of rising populist anti-trade sentiment, we now more than ever need to win minds and hearts. We won't win the evidence war without evidence. We can to some extent draw on history to give some perspective to those who are worried. Where new technology frontiers have been achieved, it's tended to result in job losses and also job gains. I've spoken with firms that have started with one or two and end up with a dozen or more jobs in the space of 1 or 2 years. There was no doubt fear in recent decades when the internet was created that it would tear into the heart of many traditional industries. And it did. Underpin a very large productivity boost around the advanced world in the 1990s. But at the same time, of course, it created more jobs than were lost. In 2011, McKinsey showed that for every job that had been lost in France, for example, as a result of the advent of the internet over the previous 15 years, 2.4 new jobs had been created. In the United States, over a longer period, the share of farm employment fell from 40% in 1900 to 2% in 2000. But as we all know, the US now has an unemployment rate of around 5%, with most people who are looking for a job able to find one. Millions of jobs have been lost, millions have been created. So the evidence war is crucial. That's why I've said that under a Labor government, the Productivity Commission will report regularly on how trade reforms, together with new developments in technology and automation, benefit people, businesses and communities around Australia. And this leads me to one of the key points I want to make today. It's incumbent on all of us, those of us in government, those of us in the sector, to ensure the potential for growth is spread throughout our society. It has to be central to our discussion around innovation into the future, building breadth into the effort, including the many, not the few. An innovation effort made up of people of all backgrounds, all regions, sharing the economic uplift created, instead of creating a small number of winners, extracting their gains from the many who think they've been exploited in the process. We need to be making women a central focus in every discussion about startups, truly diversifying our nation's innovation effort, calling up their talents as much as possible. And when this community, the startup community, focuses on bringing people along with it and opening up that opportunity, it is inspiring. We know that. For example, TechFugees brought people together to develop creative tech solutions to help refugees settle and build productive lives in their new homes, something very close to my heart in the area I represent in Western Sydney. One TechFugee high achiever is the firm Refugee Talent, a digital platform connecting skilled refugees with companies offering short and long-term job opportunities. Some of their clients include the Australian Tax Office, Deloitte and the ABC. We want to see innovation and smarts applied not just to open up economic opportunity. We want it to improve the quality of life in communities right across the country. I've been impressed with the Rise of the Rest initiative in the US, privately led, entirely private sector led, which actively looks to regional economies, especially those who are doing it tough, and funds new and innovative projects. To quote their mission, high growth companies can now start and scale anywhere, not just in a few coastal cities. Because the angst created from job losses in traditional sectors like manufacturing and the threat of actual middle class destruction has caused social dislocation and has serious social costs. We only have to look at the United States to look what a broken growth model can do, not just for regional areas but for cities too. A recent Pew Research Centre analysis has found that from 2000 to 2014, the share of adults living in middle-income households fell in 203 of the 229 US metropolitan areas examined. Now, there's no doubt we have fared much better. We have a strong minimum wage, healthy remuneration for people doing shift and weekend work, and a well-targeted welfare system. All have helped avoid what we've seen in other advanced economies, and they must be protected, a key part of Labor's agenda. Inclusion that will encourage a breadth of effort, welcoming contributions from a wide range of people and across a wide range of suburbs and regions. An inclusive approach which won't shut down or shout down the anxious and those concerned about the impact of change, but realise there are genuine fears about opportunity for people now and into the future. An inclusive mindset that realises that we have a stake in building a smarter nation, all of us, and securing a reward for that, not just in the form of a dividend or an equity stake, although, of course, there's always a case for finding more ways for people to own capital. But I'm talking about ways we can work together for a better, fairer employment outcome, aiming for more secure work and not arguing that the only way to get by is sacrificing your own wages and livelihoods to do so. What I'm saying is today, I'm making the case for innovation. It must be a central part of our economic growth strategy. It will be under a Labor government. And preserving a strong middle class has never been more important either. That's why we defend the social safety net that's provided through welfare and through penalty rates. In this era of record low wages growth, record underemployment, and people looking over their shoulders at whether technology will take their jobs in the next few years, I can't think of a decision which undermines community confidence in our current economy more than ripping away penalty rates. And we also look across the Pacific to see the difficulties and upheaval, economic and political, faced when the social contract is ripped up and forgotten about. We have fared better. The distributional divide between cities and regions does exist, however, here in Australia. Some parts of our economy are doing really well, other parts are doing it tough. Half of all jobs created in Australia over the last decade have been created here, where we stand, within a 2-kilometre radius of the Sydney and Melbourne CBDs. A full 50% of every job created in this small area. The economy feels pretty good from up here. But as Shadow Treasurer, I think it's vital that I'm in touch with what's happening in other parts of our economy. So I spend a lot of time travelling around the country. It doesn't feel good elsewhere. Regional Central and North Queensland, Tasmania, South Australia. Here unemployment and youth underemployment are high and are showing no signs of budging. And yet paradoxically, I see innovation when I see these places. Many of Australia's universities now have a regional presence thanks to the Dawkins reforms of the 1980s. These universities are often working on solutions and to challenges and opportunities that exist in these communities. But we all need to do more. That's the beauty of the policy that Labor took to the last election for regional innovation hubs, which Ed Husic authored. This included establishing a regional innovation fund to kickstart initiatives to expand the role of Australian regions in contributing to the national innovation effort. Labor's plan for a start-up year, which would have encouraged the entry of around 2,000 graduate-led enterprises a year, supporting ongoing regionally led innovation. This plan also committed us to establishing 20 new accelerators, partnering with a regional university or TAFE, local governments and a business chamber. So we're seeing the emergence of a sharper regional focus from within the startup community as well. It's evidenced through initiatives like Silicon Paddock, through to what we're seeing at Runway Geelong. They're all great. They have my full support. A determination that innovation won't emerge exclusively out of the laneways of our inner cities, but will call up all the talents and smarts of those located in our regions who want to generate new jobs and firms that will endure the changes ahead. But it's not just about accelerators and entrepreneurs. It's not just about new apps. It's about ensuring hard technology startups have the support which have positive spillovers to all industries, including our current manufacturing base. As our passionate colleague Kim Carr has said time and time again, innovation policy applies not just to a small section of the economy, but to every enterprise. It applies not just to industry, but to universities, TAFEs, research institutes, the public sector and the community sector. So we'll keep developing further policies before the next election, just as we took a very comprehensive set of policies in this space to the last election. We won't vacate the field, and it will never be a passing fad for us. It's too important in our thinking about Australia's economic future. There's no shortage of populist politicians ready to provide people who are doing it tough with simplistic answers to their economic travails. We have to provide better answers. Governments have a role to play, and so does the sector. I've been impressed in recent weeks, and I think we should all be impressed with the forward thinking we've seen this week when Airtasker and Unions New South Wales announced they'd reached agreement to protect people's incomes and livelihoods and grow wealth in the process. Unions New South Wales Secretary Mark Moore is here today. Congratulations, Mark, on the landmark deal that you've reached with Airtasker. It's a model going forward. I think the agreement between Unions New South Wales and Airtasker underlines the potential of collaboration between entrepreneurs and unions to achieve outcomes which promote a better society. The other element of the debate I'll briefly touch on today is the role of government. Innovation is about the public sector, not just the private sector. We all know the examples of successful commercial ventures which started with government intervention. It's now more important than ever to have a properly funded CSIRO. And it's now more important than ever that government gets its digital transformation strategy right. Now, as part of our announcements last term, I announced that I would convene, on coming to office, a Treasurer's Entrepreneurs Council. And that remains our policy. It would be the only new consultative body that I would create as Treasurer. I can tell you, as Treasurer and Shadow Treasurer, you get plenty of feedback from all sectors of the economy, plenty of lobby groups and businesses coming through your door. But the innovation sector doesn't do that so much. So I want to have the council to ensure that that happens. And importantly, and frankly, I want Treasury officials who aren't exposed to this ecosystem very much spending time with you, with entrepreneurs and innovators, getting to know each other, getting to understand what makes each other tick. That's important for policy making as well. The Consultative Council will be an important opportunity for innovators to pitch their ideas to me as Treasurer and to the government more broadly. It would also be important for government to consult with the sector about policies under consideration to avoid the sorts of consequences, the fallout we saw from decisions on the 457 visas last week. And an important forum for us to discuss together what we can do to ensure the benefits of innovation reach the suburbs and regions of Australia. So for the sake of our continued economic growth, the focus on innovation cannot be the flavour of the fortnight. It takes sustained commitment and partnership. It takes built understandings and trust over time. Governments and innovators working together. That's our approach. We won't come at this with short-term politics at mind, because what is better is that we come at it with the long-term interests of the nation forefront at mind. Together we can do good things to make sure our economic growth continues. Our 26 years of uninterrupted economic growth can only continue with full engagement with this sector. Not only shall it continue, it needs to be fairly shared. I look forward to making that journey together with you in government. Thank you very much.